When I came onto the flat earth thing, I knew the maps had to be wrong. I knew there was a lot of stuff wrong with it. And then last summer, when I came across Concave, I realized that growing up, going swimming in the ocean, the water was always curving up. It was always higher out than it was at shore. So, which never made sense to me growing up, as we were told the water should be curving down. So I'm going to play you something, and this just crushes it. Sorry, your snow globe dome thing is a total psyop. People need to wake up, and you've been sold a lot of lemons. I do enjoy a good lemonade, but I'm going to play you the video. This is Zenith's video from today. He went to the beach on the East Coast somewhere, and this pretty much does away with your flat earth.
Now you kids are probably saying to yourselves, hey, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna get the world by the tail and wrap it around and pull it down and put it in my pocket. Well, I'm here to tell you that you're probably gonna find out as you go out there that you're not going to amount to jack squat.
Anyone looking into alternative Earth cosmologies will inevitably run across three main options for the general alleged shape of the Earth. Either Earth is a level plane devoid of any curvature, a convex sphere upon which we live outside, or lastly, a concave sphere upon which we live inside. The majority of my work contains undeniable proof as to what the objective reality of this situation is, and debunks the majority belief that Earth is a convex spinning ball. But in this video, I will specifically address and debunk the claim that Earth is concave. In my books and videos, you will find hundreds upon hundreds of proofs that Earth is devoid of any convex curvature, and the vast majority of these proofs double to show that Earth is also devoid of any concave curvature. For example, the natural physics of large bodies of water is to seek its lowest level, with the surface of all standing water remaining perfectly flat from end to end of its container. Whether in a beaker, bottle, or bathtub, pond, lake, or ocean, this tangible substance, which we can all confirm for ourselves, is incapable of supporting itself into any shape whatsoever. Regardless of what shape the ground beneath takes, the surface of standing water remains perfectly horizontal. This alone destroys the unscientific, unobservable, unrepeatable claim that Earth is a concave or convex ball. Earth is not concave or convex. The perfectly flat horizon seen for hundreds upon hundreds of miles at the highest altitude any amateur balloon, camera, or human has ever reached also shows beyond any shadow of a doubt that Earth is not concave or convex.
I want to talk a little bit about something that FE Core is working on, and we just released the FE Core Force the Level pre-test results, and the pre-test was basically when Chris Van Maitre, myself, and several other people were out in Brighton, and we were looking at we were doing these measurements, and I guess I can go ahead and kind of spill the beans now about what happened that day because it was kind of funny. But the Force the Level experiment is a surveying experiment, and the idea behind it, let me actually get to my notes here. Oops. Oh, okay. Got your message here, no problem. It's basically a method that allows people to inexpensively measure the geopotential surface of the Earth with an accuracy that is absolutely orders of magnitude higher than satellite navigation systems. And this is using a Trimble, I think it's a differential level. Chris does all this stuff, but we've got all this stuff laid out. And Chris, and we actually have another guy, another surveyor that is in FE Corps. But we did this last September and spent a little over half a day doing this in Brighton. And we're going to modify this dramatically coming up in March. Well, not dramatically, but modify it enough to actually increase the accuracy. But I have to tell you, at the time, after we got all of our data back, and I have to stress this, first of all, that this data was only for this very specific, piece of land that we were surveying, but it came back as slightly concave. And of course, when we looked at that, we were all just going, that's pretty wild.
In this video, I'm going to easily visually display to you what is going on with the octahedron and the way in which we see the celestial sphere. Remember, I mentioned before that the octahedron acts as a resonant absorptive antenna. If you look at radiation patterns of dipole antennas, it has the same dipole effect, where it is splitting the circle in two, and we see the same type of pattern there with our eyes. Our eyes, wherever we are within the inside of the Earth, whatever latitude we're at. In this case, we're at 45 degrees north. Our eyes are always going to carry it to the center, and it will figuratively split the celestial sphere into two. And so the half that is facing you flips in curvature, and it appears as if that side creates a dome over your head. It's not a real dome, it's a virtual dome. But that is the way that light operates, that energy operates, that electricity operates within the Earth. That resonant absorptive energy that sucks the light up toward the center will always intersect the celestial sphere perpendicularly. That is what creates the sun and the moon inversion. We think the sun is straight across, however, it is curled upward and inverted. Light is always bending up toward the center, wherever you are within the Earth. Horizontal dipole radio energy will always bend upward from the ground. This is the illusion that the secret of the universe holds.
Earth is not concave or convex.
The P900. Yep, there we have it. I'm seeing boats below the shoreline way across Lake St. Clair. There it is. See that sailboat? Pow. Underneath the opposite shoreline. Earth is concave, baby. I was wrong. It's not flat. I am right on the frickin' water. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to do a 360 at this altitude so you can see exactly where my camera is. Right here.
Earth is not concave.
Seasons within the concave Earth. I animated the sun oscillating around the celestial sphere every 6 months. So when it's in the Tropic of Cancer, you'll notice that you get 24 hours of daylight at the North Pole and 24 hours of darkness on the South Pole. And conversely, when the sun is in the south, you'll see that you will get 24 hours of daylight on the South Pole and 24 hours of darkness on the North Pole.
Earth is not concave.
Okay. Camera altitude. 2-3 inches maybe. we have it. Boats beneath the opposite shoreline. 1, 2.
Earth is not concave.
Please go away. Let me sleep for the love of God.
It's just a matter of finding a vessel that's the right distance away, and you can see that water's concave.
Earth is not concave.
They're approximately halfway between me and the opposite shoreline, and because they're the appropriate distance away, they're appearing in the dip in the middle.
Earth is not concave. Earth is not concave. Earth is not concave.
if you understand within the concave Earth, it's all taken care of simply by the fact that there's two different velocities. The velocity of the sun and the velocity of the celestial sphere, which is slightly faster than the sun. A sidereal year, or a sidereal day, is 4 minutes faster than the sun. So after a full year's time, the sun is simply just going to be 1/70th of a degree in a different location than the year before. The planets are all magnetically affected by the sun. So when the sun is inclined like that, the ecliptic of the planets, that magnetic ecliptic imaginary path, is going to be influenced by it as well. There's a real retrograde motion to the planet. It's not just an apparent retrograde motion caused by a supposed spinning Earth. It's simply the fact that when the planets go behind the celestial sphere opposite the sun, they're going to get confused magnetically. So they're going to go the other way for a little bit until they catch up with the sun's influence again, and then go the same way that they were going before. Mercury and Venus, they're going to be orbiting the sun. So when they go behind the sun, they're going to get confused as well. So that's how retrograde happens within the concave Earth.
Earth is not concave. Earth is not concave or convex. For Earth to be a ball of the dimensions claimed means that it must curve, upwards or downwards, at a rate of h equals r minus r cos 2 over 2r, where h equals height, r equals radius, and s equals arc length. When calculated for up to nearly 1,000 miles, which is plenty far for any practical observations we can make, this trigonometrical formula can also be simplified to 7.98 inches per mile squared and receive the same results. This means an easily visible and measurable curvature of 6 feet after 3 miles, 24 feet after 6 miles, 54 feet after 9 miles, and so on, would and must exist if we truly lived on a concave or convex Earth 24,900 miles in circumference. Countless experiments using lasers, spirit levels, theodolites, sextants, telescopes, super zoom cameras, and Navy railguns have all confirmed, however, that no such alleged curvature exists.
Stake 1 has the laser 30 centimeters above the water. Stake 2, he has the laser centered on that stake at 30 centimeters above the water. Then they sailed to the center between the two stakes, and they were going to measure how high the laser was above the water using another stake. Okay, so my friends sailed back to my position. Together we made a measurement in the middle of the distance between the two stakes. The measurement showed that the distance from the water surface to the beam was 39 to 40 centimeters. We decided to check if everything was okay with the laser and the stakes. Everything was still perfectly fine. We made another measurement in the middle and it showed the same thing as previously. The beam was about 40 centimeters above the water surface. So in other words, on both ends, the laser was 30 centimeters above the surface of the water on both shorelines. However, in the center, the laser was 40 centimeters above the water surface, which would indicate the water actually curved like this. So it actually showed that the lake had some sort of concavity to it.
Earth is not concave. Evidence. This time, quoting Samuel Rowbotham's Earth Not a Globe, he shows a picture and quotes from the book discussing how early hot air balloonists, expecting to see convex curvature beneath them due to their globe beliefs, were shocked that the appearance was instead concave because the horizon rose to eye level along with them while the Earth below them continued to sink away. fact that the horizon literally rises up along with the observer, as high as they go, shows that we are dealing with a subjective element of vision, not objective tangible reality. If that was the case, then pilots viewing the horizon straight in front of them, flying level on long-haul flights, would, and must eventually come face to face with and inevitably crash into the supposed concave Earth horizon directly in front of them.
Lift force and the sink force of the electromagnetic flux. There's an inversely proportional relationship between the two. Blue arrows represent the centripetal convergent lift force. It draws objects to the center, where the current is attracted to the moving convex surface of the celestial sphere. The lift force is stronger in the center and weaker at the edge. That is why planets have such an easy time staying aloft toward the center, because there's not that much sink force and plenty of lift force. If it weren't for the magnetic sun attracting the planets, they probably would crash into the celestial sphere. The lift force cohabitates with the centrifugal sink force, which has the inverse proportion effect. The sink force is the either push force we all experience on the Earth or in the Earth. As it moves, the divergent fluxes put the brakes on the Earth, preventing any rotation. Remember Wheeler's gyroscope on his huge neodymium iron-borne magnet? The centripetal lift force perpetuated the magnet in a viscous free flux through the center. Yet the centrifugal divergent sink force stopped the gyro on the edge. That's what's happening with the Earth. The sink force generates a depression to the west. That's why bullets sink to the west and rise to the east, because there's a greater clamping down effect for projectiles shot into the downstream of the sink force. This is also what causes eastward deflection of flying objects. They seek the least resistance, which will always be found eastward of the meridian. The sink force is so strong at the edge it holds the water at bay. The ether's sink force eliminates the Coriolis or the Yapos effect from being the cause of this phenomenon. Since you should know by now, we are not a rotating planet. Now we can understand what causes gyroscopes to liberate themselves from the thick sink force happening at the edge. The rotation of the gyro is stripping off its sink force hold and aligning itself with a much weaker lift force at that level to allow it to rise. The vertical axis seeks to magnetically align itself with this central octahedron. That's why the airplane gyro stays pretty much vertical wherever it flies within the Earth.
But this time focusing specifically on zooming in objects which have disappeared into the horizon. Islands, lighthouses, or ships which are partially obscured or completely eclipsed by the horizon can be brought back into full view with the aid of binoculars, telescopes, or zoom cameras.
All because you want to save a couple extra pennies. To me, it doesn't.
Get out. Now.
Do you validate?
Now.
The Milky Way band, it's a band, it's not a spiral galaxy. It's actually a literal band that separates the celestial sphere into two different hemispheres, two different magnetically influenced hemispheres that actually steer the sun. So the Milky Way band has a function. So when the sun crosses that galactic plane every 6 months, it's also exhibited by the Ulysses satellite. They show that every 6 months the sun is oscillating back and forth. So when it crosses that plane, it steers the sun the other direction. Like when it's up north like that, it's going to steer the sun south, and then conversely the same when it goes down south. When the sun goes down south, when it crosses that plane, it's going to steer the sun back up north. So it's all being influenced by that dividing line, that Milky Way dividing line. It has a purpose, it has a function. Everything works within the Concave Earth. Sunlight is bending around the inside of the Earth. That's how we get lunar eclipses. There's an opposite funnel-shaped void area opposite the sun. When the moon goes through that void area, it gets eclipsed. North or south of that void area, it's just simply going to be a full moon. So everything works in the Concave Earth. You've seen my animation here, I made it a wide angle, so I wanted to include everything, so that's why it kind of looks kind of funky, but it's Occam's razor. The simplest answer is always the best answer. So.
when you look at a nebula. Let's use a regular atmospheric cloud for a reference object. Which dimension seems more believable? 50 million light years across, or about the size of a cloud? Nebula means cloud. The truth is hidden in plain sight. The stars are close. They have to be close. The concept of light year is fiction. They have to conjure up prodigious distances in order for their model to work. But common sense tells you it cannot work. We see the stars. The stars are close, very close. The stars are small, very small. The stars are behind glass. The glass has a bumpy surface to it, damaged after the flood. Glass causes chromatic aberration. The different fringing of the bumpy surface causes different redshift readings. Redshift of galaxies is simply chromatic aberration of the glass encompassing the stars. The spiral pattern of galaxies are simply indications of drainage. The celestial sphere contained water. The water came pouring out, and the windows of heaven were opened. Stars are formed by a process of sonoluminescence, extremely hot sound bubbles. Because they are bubbles, there is not much mass detected in stars, but rather mass is detected in the area surrounding the stars, otherwise known as dark matter. Dark matter is simply dark waters or liquids, as recorded in the scriptures and confirmed in recent scientific studies. During the time of the flood, the stars clustered together and they melted holes through the glass firmament. Water and sand came pouring down to earth. Because of the frigid temperatures, the windows of heaven congealed back together, leaving a spiral remnant of the drainage. Hidden in plain sight, the glass is detected by comets. In photography, a glass anomaly is created by a lens called coma aberration, named after a comet. When we view a comet in the sky, it is because the sunlight is hitting the comet at an oblique angle as it is immersed in the plasma field above the glass. There is birefringence to the glass, which splits the tail in two. Sagittal astigmatism, tangential astigmatism, coma aberration are all clear indications that there is glass in the sky hidden in plain sight. The curvature of the comet's tail is a clear indication that light is bending. It should not be any surprise to anyone that they had found Star Trek-like invisible shields thousands of miles above Earth, where they say it's almost like these electrons are running into a glass wall in space. But there is most likely at least 3 concentric spheres of glass in the Earth, apart from the main celestial sphere. This is detected easily by viewing the 22nd degree halo and the 46th degree halo, and understanding that there is a much lower glass at approximately 100 kilometers. Hidden in plain sight once again, we can understand that there is glass at 100 kilometers based upon upper atmospheric lightning hitting a ceiling at 100 kilometers. We also can understand that auroras bottom out at 100 kilometers. Radio wave propagation reflects off the ionosphere at 100 kilometers. The height of the Schumann resonance is at 100 kilometers. Scientists say that sporadic meteoroids are bouncing off the atmosphere, the sporadic E layer of the ionosphere, the neutral density layer of the ionosphere, like bugs hitting a windshield at 100 kilometers. Coincidence?
It's plowing up this debris.
Yeah.
It's like a bug on a windshield effect. It's like a bug on a windshield effect.
It's like a bug on a windshield effect.
But to a child, a simple rainbow will suffice in having them understand that there is glass above. As the sunlight disperses through the glass, it gets projected onto reflective water droplets. The water droplets are not the source of the rainbow, but merely the reflective canvas of the already glass-dispersed light.
won't take it when God raises up his real church. You think you're saved until God sends forth the real boys to do the job. And all of a sudden you find out, I ain't as saved as I thought. I don't know if I can walk with these dudes. Because these dudes ain't even thinking about me like that. They getting the job done. This is a military affair.
We do live in a sphere. In a sphere. We're on the inside of the sphere.